We all have this social superpower. Seriously, we use it every single day, most of the time without even thinking about it. So today, we're going to unpack that. We're going to unlock the 4 keys to this power, all based on some incredible research, and see how it literally shapes our entire social world. Just think about it for a second. We've all been here, right? A friend is having a really rough day, and you're on a mission to turn that frown upside down. Or how about this one? You're trying to soothe a crying kid, desperately searching for those magic words that will just turn those tears into calm. And hey, it's not just in our personal lives either. It totally happens at work, like in that super crucial moment when you're trying to win over a skeptical client. So what's the common thread here? Cheering up a friend, calming a child, winning over a client? What is this hidden social superpower that's behind all of this? Well, scientists actually have a name for this superpower. It's called Interpersonal Emotion Regulation, or IER for short. And really, it's just the process by which people deliberately influence others' feelings. That's it. A pretty simple definition for an incredibly powerful skill, don't you think? Okay, so how does it actually work? Well, today we're going to unlock the 4 keys that really define this whole process. We'll look at why it's a regulation, how it targets feelings, why it has to be a deliberate act, and of course, how it's always social. Let's dive in. All right, first up, key number 1. It's a form of regulation. Now, what does that mean? It means it's a goal-directed process. You're not just randomly bumping into someone's mood. You're actually doing it with a specific purpose in mind. And what's really interesting is that these goals can be super varied. I mean, it's not always about just being nice, Sometimes, yeah, our goals are pro-social. We just want to help a friend feel better. Other times, it's part of our job, right? Like a barista trying to make a customer's day. But then sometimes the goals are instrumental. Think about it, using emotion to gain an advantage in a negotiation. And this, of course, leads to a huge question for researchers. Do our goals actually change the strategies we use? I mean, do we pull out different tactics when we're trying to genuinely help someone versus when we're trying to, gain an edge? It's a really fascinating area of ongoing study. Which brings us right to our second key. IER specifically targets feelings. The bullseye here is always an emotional state. We're not trying to directly change what someone thinks or even what they do. We are laser focused on what they feel. But here's the amazing part. Even though we're just targeting feelings, it creates this massive ripple effect. I mean, if you successfully regulate someone's emotions, that can go on to influence their behavior, it can impact their long-term physical health, and get this, research even shows it can affect the severity of clinical symptoms. It's just that profound. But let's be real for a second. We've all been there. You try to help, and it just backfires completely. And this raises a really critical question for the folks studying this. Why does IAR sometimes fail? Is it because we picked the wrong strategy? Or did we just, not pull it off very well? Okay, on to our third key, and this one is absolutely crucial. It is a deliberate act. This means IR requires conscious, intentional effort. This is not something that just happens by accident. You have to mean it. And this is where we need to draw a really clear line between IER and something else you've probably experienced called emotional contagion. See, IER is deliberate, it's controlled, it takes real mental energy. Emotional contagion? That's totally automatic. It's when you just catch someone else's mood. Like when one person starts laughing and suddenly the whole room is laughing too. That's effortless. But IER, that is always an active choice. And because it's so effortful, actually doing IER can be really draining. I mean, it can wipe you out. So this leads scientists to ask a really practical question. Can things like structured practice or maybe special training make it less depleting over time? I mean, this could be a total game changer, especially for people in jobs that demand constant emotional labor, like nurses or teachers. All right, that brings us to our fourth and final key. And this one's pretty straightforward. It's always social. The target of your regulation is always another person. I mean, that's what puts the interpersonal in interpersonal emotion regulation, right? And the impact here is just massive. Being good at this stuff helps us make new friends. It builds trust and deepens our existing relationships. And in really close partnerships, it can even create these stable patterns of what's called co-regulation, where couples learn how to manage their emotions together, like a team. So, this naturally raises a big question about context, doesn't it? Does our relationship with someone completely change the strategies we use? I mean, think about it. You would never try to calm down your boss the same way you'd calm down your kid, right? Of course not. And researchers are digging into exactly that, how we adapt our IER toolkit for all the different people in our lives. Okay, so let's bring it all home. Why does understanding this social superpower actually matter? Well, it's about seeing how these four keys, they don't just exist separately. They lock together to form the very fabric of our social lives. So let's just recap the four components of your superpower. 1. It's a regulation, meaning it's always goal-directed. 2. It has an affective target. It's all about feelings. 3. It's a deliberate process. It's intentional and it takes effort. And 4. It has a social target. It's always aimed at someone else. When you see all four of those keys turn at once, that's it. That's interpersonal emotion regulation in action. So that's our look at these four keys. But I want to leave you with one final thought. Now that you know what to look for, how are you going to see this superpower at work in your own life? Maybe even today, in the very next conversation you have. Just watch for it. I promise you'll be amazed how often you see it happening all around you and how often you're the one using it.